Surely, all of us have bought a very fresh bunch of green onions at least once, only to find that after just a few days in the refrigerator, the leaves began to turn yellow, become soft, and even turn slimy. That is such a waste and so frustrating, isn't it? Today, I will share with you 4 very simple but extremely convenient ways to store green onions. Some methods help keep the green onion stalks whole so that you can cut them into long sections, slice them into small pieces, or use them for many different dishes. There is also a method for preparing sliced green onions in advance, so you only need to open the jar and take some out to use immediately when cooking. In addition, I will show you 2 freezing methods suited to different needs, so even when you buy a large amount of green onions, you can still use them gradually without worrying about waste. First, I will prepare all of these green onions. I remove any leaves that have turned yellow, become bruised, or show signs of becoming soft and soggy. If the roots are still clean and healthy, you can temporarily leave them attached while washing so that the bunch of green onions does not come apart. I gently wash the green onions under clean running water, paying particular attention to the spaces between the leaves and the base, because these are the areas where soil often remains. After washing, I place the green onions on a clean towel or paper towels and gently pat them dry. This is a very important step. Whether they are stored in the refrigerator or the freezer, the green onions need to be dried very thoroughly. If a lot of water remains on the leaves, the green onions will quickly become soft and slimy, and they will freeze into one clump. I will leave the green onions to drain for a little longer until the surface is almost completely dry. While we are waiting, please let me know which country you are watching this video from. I am always very happy to know that we are connecting with one another from many places around the world. The first method. I cut off the old roots and remove any additional bruised leaf tips, if there are any. If the container is not long enough, I can cut the bunch of green onions into 2 large sections, but there is no need to slice them into small pieces. I prepare a clean and completely dry container. At the bottom of the container, I place 1 or 2 sheets of paper towel. The paper towels will help absorb excess moisture during storage, which helps make the green onions less likely to become slimy. I place the green onions gently into the container without pressing them down too tightly. If the bunch is quite thick, you can place an additional thin layer of paper towel in the middle before arranging the remaining green onions on top. Finally, I place another sheet of paper towel over the green onions and close the lid tightly. This container of green onions will be placed in the refrigerator. After a few days, you should open the container and check it. If the paper towels have become very damp, replace them with new ones and immediately remove any leaves that show signs of becoming soft or yellow so that they do not affect the remaining green onions. The advantage of this method is that the green onions remain almost whole. When cooking soup or making a stir-fried dish, I can take them out and slice them into small pieces. When steaming fish, making broth, or kneading long sections of green onion, I can also use them very conveniently. If your family often cooks many different types of dishes, this is the most flexible refrigerator storage method. The second method. If you usually need only a small amount of sliced green onions to sprinkle over eggs, soup, noodles, rice, or cooked dishes, this method will be very convenient. I take a portion of the green onions that have been dried, cut off the roots, and then slice them into the size my family usually uses. You can mix the white parts and the green leaves together. However, I usually keep these 2 parts somewhat separate. The white parts have a stronger flavor and are suitable for sautéing until fragrant or adding to the dish earlier. The green leaves are usually added at the end to retain their beautiful color. After slicing, I check them once again. If the green onions are still slightly damp because moisture has been released from inside, I spread them out on a clean paper towel for a few minutes. You should not put wet green onions directly into the jar. I prepare a clean, dry glass jar with a tightly fitting lid. At the bottom of the jar, I place a small piece of paper towel. There is no need to use too much paper, just enough to absorb the excess moisture. I place the sliced green onions into the jar. As I add them, I do not press or pack them down too tightly because the green onions need a little space and should not be bruised. I also do not fill the jar all the way to the rim. Leaving a small amount of space will make it easier for us to take the green onions out and help prevent them from being pressed against the lid. After that, I close the jar tightly and place it in the refrigerator. Whenever I need to cook, I simply open the jar, take out the right amount with a clean, dry spoon, and close the lid again immediately. You should not use a wet spoon or use hands that still have water on them to take out the green onions because the moisture introduced into the jar will cause them to spoil more quickly. This method is very convenient on busy days. The green onions have already been cleaned and sliced, so I do not need to take out the entire bunch, wash it again, and cut it every time I cook. The third method. This method is suitable when you buy a large amount of green onions but cannot use them all within a short period of time. I cut off the roots and then slice the green onions into small pieces. As with the previous method, you can keep the white parts and the green parts together or separate them. After slicing, I spread the green onions out on a plate or tray lined with paper towels. I leave them there for a few minutes to make sure that the surface is completely dry. If the green onions are frozen while they still contain water, the pieces will stick tightly together and form a clump. When we need to use them, it will be very difficult to take out only a small amount. I prepare a container that is suitable for use in the freezer. The container needs to be clean, dry, and have a tightly fitting lid. I place the green onions in the container. If you have a large amount, you should divide them between 2 small containers instead of packing too much into one large container. I close the lid tightly, write the storage date on the outside, and then place the container in the freezer. When needed, I take out the right amount of green onions and add them directly to the dish. There is no need to thaw them first because when thawed, the green onions will become soft and release water. Frozen green onions are best suited for cooked dishes such as soups, noodles, eggs, fried rice, stir-fries, or sauces. The texture of the green onions after freezing will no longer be as crisp as fresh green onions, so this method is not suitable if you want to eat them raw or use them to garnish dishes that require a fresh, crisp texture. Even so, the aroma of the green onions is still preserved fairly well, and this storage method helps us reduce waste very effectively. The fourth method. Not every dish requires sliced green onions. Sometimes, we need long sections of green onion for making broth, steaming fish, rolling with meat, or adding to stews. Therefore, for the final portion of green onions, I will keep the stalks whole or cut them only into long sections. After the green onions have been washed and dried completely, I cut off the roots. I can keep the green onions at their full length if the bag or container is large enough. If not, I cut them into 2 or 3 sections so that they fit the storage container. I arrange the green onion stalks parallel to one another and relatively flat. You can place the green onions in a freezer bag or an airtight container. If using a bag, gently press out some of the air before sealing it. When cooking, I only need to take the number of stalks I need out of the bag. You can cut the green onions while they are still frozen or add them directly to the pot. You should not thaw the entire bag and then refreeze it because this will reduce the quality of the green onions. This method is especially useful if you do not yet know what dish you will use the green onions for. Keeping them as long stalks gives us more flexibility. When I need sliced green onions, I can still cut them. When I need long sections, they are also ready to use. How do you usually store green onions? Do you prefer preparing sliced green onions in advance for quick use, or keeping the stalks whole so that you can use them more flexibly? Please share with me in the comments.